Welcome to the Early Founder Podcast. My name is Philip, and I'm the founder of Launchpad, a high school startup incubator where I lead high schoolers nationwide through the startup process with the help of industry veterans. Along this journey, I was curious to see what makes an entrepreneur successful, what traits, experiences, and habits they possess, especially while they're young. So that's why I made the Early Founder, to have conversations with those who have had massive breakthroughs at a young age, and to share their experiences with other aspiring founders. Today's guest is Rhett Jones, the 19-year-old founder of Station Mountain Bike Park, a world-class mountain bike park based in Marble Falls, Texas. In November 2023, he secured $2.8 million in funding for land acquisition and $350,000 from 19 equity investors for development, totaling $3.15 million. The park features 20 trails, bike rentals, lodging, and dining facilities, quickly becoming a premier destination for riders. Recently, Rhett announced plans to sell the 130-acre property for $3.6 million to repay investors. He is now working on two companies, Case.us and Sturkey.com, for custom-fit padded bike apparel and unique ski gloves, respectively. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very excited.
Okay. My first question is, where does Station Mountain stand today, and what milestone are you most proud of?
Yeah, so right now, we've made like $400K in revenue, which is really cool, but we've also done like $450K in expenses, which is not that cool. Yeah. So I guess the biggest milestone, I'm not sure if there's like a big milestone, but the fact that like we've gotten thousands of riders all across Texas to come like pay $50 and ride our bike park for the day. The fact that we pretty much have like worldwide presence now. I mean, the fact that it's like a fully running business, right? Like those are all milestones. And I think it's amazing. Like, I just think it's cool that this is a fully legit business.
Yeah.
And on the business side where it stands right now, I mean, it still runs, like it makes above break-even-ish money. And, you know, it's not like a completely failing business, right? But it doesn't really like make enough money to completely justify the investment. So that's why I'm working on the 3.6 million sale right now.
I see. Yeah. I mean, for sure, like getting hundreds to thousands of riders every day, that's an amazing milestone.
Yeah. Thank you.
So during like the peak of it all, when you're in the middle of running Station Mountain, what did a typical day in the life look like as a founder?
Yeah, well, I've gone through multiple periods of actually running this park. So, like, when I was building it, I was living there like 6 days a week, managing 10 plus 30-year-olds on how to build these trails. I really did a bad job at managing them, I'll be honest. It was not great, and I was also not in the most managerial position there. But yeah, I was like literally living on this ranch, like sleeping in a house and building with excavators and skid steers and shovels all day long. Like it was really fun. It was really cool. So then that was like 3 months. And then after I opened, I then would like visit the park probably 3 to 4 days a week. I would be a cashier. I would help organize shuttle driving. I would help maintain trails and whatnot. That lasted for about like 5 months. And then I kind of realized like, oh, hey, this park is so sick and like it makes money and all that, but there's no way that I can ever make this park profitable enough to justify the $3 million investment. Like I got to change what I'm doing. I don't really want to be motivated to, you know, put in like 50 plus hours a week towards a park if it's really not going to pay off at all. And if that money like won't go anywhere. Right. Yeah. So then that was in like March of 2024 after we opened in November 2023. So after like 5 months, then I started to transfer into working on the land sale, working on setting up the land investment structure on the back end, and kind of moving on to other things. The park has been running for like a year and 4 months now, which is really cool, and I love it. But now I like basically hired a manager to live on the property and run the park for me.
Okay.
And yeah. And I wouldn't really consider it like a failure at all. I mean, it's so cool. It still runs every day and everything. And I'm still going to be able to pay back all investors at a positive rate. It's just that it never hit like the scalability mark that I wanted to kind of put serious time into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. That makes a lot of sense. So can you tell me about what you're working on now then?
Yeah. So basically, for some timeline, March, April-ish 2024, I realized, okay, like if I want to pursue my dreams and make something huge, I got to do something different because I'm never going to make like proper profit for myself from this business as much as I love it. So I started experimenting with ideas. From April to June, I had or maybe April to May, I had like a full-fledged plan to build a 12-unit condo complex. I was like, we're going to raise $2 million. We're going to find a property in South Austin. It's going to be great. I put a bunch of research into it, a bunch of plans together, but I didn't pursue the project because it would have been like 3 years of work for not that much profit. Now, I think that idea is great, scalable, but as an initial 12-unit project, it just wasn't big enough. It wasn't enough. So I kind of like threw that project away because once I started to look more into the numbers, it wasn't that pleasant. And then starting in June, I was like, okay, well, I guess as my next business idea, I want to make the world's best bike park. And I was like really, really set on wanting to make the world's best bike park. I literally messaged every single ski resort in North America. Like, not kidding. I messaged every single logging company. I put together like all these maps and all the analysis of like 100 plus properties because my idea was like, okay, look, the only industry that you're an expert in is the bike park industry. So surely what you should be doing is making another bike park. You already know so much about it. Surely you can't fail a second time. But after like 3 months of hard work, I mean, I was working like 50 plus hours a week on this. I kind of realized this is not a good business model. No matter how you build a bike park, it's impossible to get it to like a significant and stable enough profit level. It's just a bad industry. And it was really, really hard to kind of pull myself away from pursuing this dream of building the world's best bike park because it was like such a big sunk cost. I already put so much into it. But actually, like, my girlfriend convinced me that I shouldn't do it. So after like 3 months of working on it. So then, yeah, I kind of like fully exited the whole world's best bike park thing. And then this was like September of 2024. So this was like 6 months ago. And then I kind of came to a crossroads where it's like, all right, I got to figure out what I'm doing. I mean, I've wasted the past 6 months trying to build a business that I never built. I mean, I'm putting all this time towards work. Like, I got to do something. So I came up with the idea of Cased, which is fully padded, custom fit mountain bike apparel, because I ride mountain bikes all the time, and I realized that fully custom fit kits don't exist. And I also realized that like fully padded pants and shirts don't exist. There's a whole lot of jargon there that non-mountain bikers won't care about. But yeah, I realized that, hey, like, okay, I think this is a really good business idea. It's a product-based business. It's solving a genuine problem. I have all the connects to the mountain bike industry. I surely can make this pant. Like, we got it. And I think I do got it. I mean, I'm 6 months into this now. I think third time's the charm. This third business idea, or technically fourth business idea is the charm. And I'm pretty stoked on it. And I'm scaling it. I'm excited. And then simultaneously, I founded in October, like a month after, Sturkey. So Sturkey is like ski gloves. It's like ski glove liners and ski mittens. So to give you a little bit of like background here, from September/October to literally mid-January, all I did was like product research and product innovation. I messaged a bunch of manufacturers. They sent me gloves. I checked them out. I fixed the fabrics. I edited these gloves and pants like down to the millimeter, right? And I was going back and forth with all these manufacturers. I was trying to make the most ideal product. And then finally, in like mid to late January, I got what I believed to be a great product. And now, since then, for literally only 3 weeks now, I'm actually trying to like scale Case and Sturkey and get sales. So yeah, that's where you're catching me right now.
Okay, awesome. What a story and so many like twists and turns.
I know.
Where you are now.
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah.
Could you also tell me about, like, I read on your LinkedIn, like this epic Rhett manifesto and what that means?
Oh yeah, no, I'm very happy. Okay, so I'm happy to share that. Yeah, so basically, like, as crazy as it sounds, my goal in life is to build the world's most cost-effective, most root problem-solving, most viral charity. But mainly, like the most dollar-to-impact cost-effective charity. I'm not sure what the term is for that. There's a bunch of charities centered around this concept. Effective altruism is also like a big movement, controversial movement. I don't know if I fully agree with them. There's plenty of charities like GiveWell. I mean, they do billions of dollars in just finding what are the most cost-effective charities. But I guess the big thing that I've been missing in all these charities is like, okay, look, VCs, big people never donate to these charities because they're fundamentally not root problem solving, and they've been solving the same issue for 40 years without innovation, without really changing much, and the issue still hasn't been fundamentally solved. Governments don't really donate to charities when the governments have so much more money than private individuals. The list goes on. There's so many, like, fallacies, I want to say, or not even fallacies, like, reasons why people don't donate to these types of charities, and why these types of charities, like, in the end, are controversially not the best. I still think they're amazing charities, and I think everyone should donate to them, but it's clear that there's something fundamentally wrong about the world of philanthropy. So, all in all, I'll kind of backtrack from this. My goal is, like, I want to make this charity. So, anyway, the way that I think one can, like, actually make a charity this big and, like, genuinely solve so much in the world is, as crazy as it sounds, becoming a billionaire. Because, like, billionaires have the connections, they have the money, they have the influence, they have everything that you would need to actually make a huge charity. As much as I would love to start working on my life goal right now at 19, I know that I'm going to be able to raise way less money than I could if I were a billionaire. Because I don't have the influence, I don't have, like, all the friend connections to a bunch of other people with money. I don't have the background, I don't have the trustworthiness because it's just a random 19-year-old and not some super successful person. The list goes on, right? So it's very clear that, like, if I want to pursue this goal, though I have no idea exactly what this charity will look like yet, I need to become a billionaire first because that's going to be, like, the biggest asset. And I know this sounds, like, so crazy. I know it sounds like I'm so full of myself. It's hard to, like, it's impossible to talk about this goal without sounding crazy. But anyway, so, yeah, it's very clear that that's the goal. And, as wild as this sounds, I genuinely think that I have the background and the expertise and, like, the drive and motivation in my brain and the connections already at 19 years old to have a genuine shot at becoming a billionaire. Like, if you compare me at 19 to, like, most other people at 19, I've been extremely fortunate to grow up in the U.S. in, like, a richer household with, like, supportive parents, and I went to a supportive school. I'm so fortunate. And, like, I'm so fortunate to have, like, a brain that's, like, very driven to work super hard. And I don't want to sound full of myself. Like, I genuinely think that I have a good shot at becoming a billionaire compared to most people. So I really want to pursue it. So right now, like, my goal in life, as I'm 19, is to just figure out, like, how can I make as successful of a business as possible and make a bunch of money right now so I can, like, end up pursuing these goals in 10 years. There's, like, so many mentors in my life that are so supportive of me. Like, surely if I put my mind to it, I think I can become quite successful in business, right? So that's my current goal. And with Case and Starkey, the only reason why I'm founding them, I don't think they are the billion-dollar business idea. It's really hard to scale a company like that to that level. I do think, though, that I will genuinely be able to make, like, a decent amount of money from Case and or Starkey, which is, Case is the bike propels and Starkey is the ski gloves, But to then say, hey, look, I'm 20, like, imagine this is 8 months from now. Like, hey, look, I'm 20. I have already made a business that's worth $1 million. I also made a bike park. I know how to make a business. Like, I have the expertise. I've gained a lot of connections along the way. I've gained money along the way. Right? Now, when I am, like, 28 months from now or 12 months from now or whatever, after I sell Case or Starkey, I will be able to pursue the $1 billion business idea. It's like, as much as I'd love to pursue something big right now, my plot is like, okay, hold on. Let me try to build, like, a really successful small business first before I jump into the 10-year business. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I just have a quick follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
What makes you, like, what's the reason why you can't jump deep into the big business right now? Why do you want to start with like the two smaller businesses?
I would love to, but I think the big business will have a much better shot at being successful if I can genuinely say that I have a profitable business behind me, and if I have the expertise of making a profitable business, and if I have a little bit of money, and if I have more connections which will come from making a profitable business, right? There's like so many factors. And most like people this age kind of just jump right into pursuing the $1 billion business idea like at 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to take one more middle step.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on from there into, the early spark. So let's rewind a bit, and can you tell me about your first experiences with entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Oh, I love this question. Well, I've been very, very fortunate in my life. So, 9th grade, I did nothing. 10th grade, I did nothing. Like in middle school, I did nothing. One of my biggest regrets is like not starting in middle school. I wish I did. I see these people that are like starting at 13, 14 years old, and I'm jealous. I didn't get the spark until I was like 17 and a half. Again, still super young, but yeah. Basically, in my first half of my junior year, I had this idea to go build a bike park, and I just worked with like 3 dads in my local neighborhood to build a volunteer-built bike park. We raised like $13K from the neighborhood. They really led the whole project. It wasn't that big, but like I had my name behind the fact that I built a small volunteer-built bike park, right? And like the trails are so sick, but I wasn't personally stoked on it. And basically, I thought that was a win. I thought like, oh my god, guys, look, I made a bike park in high school. I have like a trail volunteer built in the neighborhood. Look at how cool this is. Look at how cool this project is. And then in my junior year of high school, I'm not kidding, there was this billionaire, Joe Limont, that bought out my high school. Or not bought out, but like pretty much completely took over my high school. Crazy. Literally by coincidence. I went to normal school my whole life. And then in 9th grade, I joined this like super weird startup high school. Okay. And then randomly, by chance, in my 11th grade year, Joe Limont is like, hey, I'm the owner of this school now, and I'm going to be really involved. And he saw what I was doing my first half of my junior year. He saw that I was building this like smaller bike park, right? And basically in like January of 2023, this guy sat me down and he's like, hey, look, you think that your little bike park neighborhood thing that you weren't really even involved in that much is so cool. What if instead you raise $3 million and build the biggest bike park in all of Texas and do this all in 8 weeks? That's basically what he said. And I was like, okay, you're crazy. There's absolutely no way that I can raise $3 million as a high schooler. There's no way I can build a bike park that big. There's no way, like, come on, you're crazy. Maybe I can do this when I'm 30. Like, why even ask me to do this? And then Joe was like, trust me. Kids can do way, way more than they think. You have to think bigger. I'm not kidding. Just make a pitch deck, make a financial projection sheet, cold call a bunch of people on LinkedIn or even on like Facebook groups and just see where it goes. Just start messaging a bunch of rich mountain bikers that you want to raise $3 million and make the best bike park in Texas. I'm sure that you're going to raise this money and make it happen. And literally at the time I was like, all right, no way this is possible, but you know what? Might as well give it a shot. So this is like halfway through my junior year. Maybe I was a bit more optimistic than that, but still, like, the point still stands. Before Joe kind of gave me the whole sit-down talk in January, halfway through my junior year, I didn't think anything was possible. And then I got to work, and I literally, like, messaged 500 plus people on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm a 17-year-old making the best bike park in Texas. If you have connections, advice, or want to invest, let me know. I went onto a bunch of literally like mountain biking Facebook groups just asking people for investments. I mean, I was like talking to people at my local trail systems. Hey, do you know any rich person that mountain bikes? And like, I'm not kidding. After, like 6 months after doing that, like 500 plus messages later, I was able to raise the $3 million. Granted, I got so much help along the way, so much support. I mean, I'm so thankful for the opportunity that I grew up in. I know I'm much more fortunate compared to most kids. And like, the thing that Joe said, because like, I had an active billionaire helping me along this way, he's basically like, okay, I will give you everything that you need except money. But at the end of the day, like, I do want to say that I don't want to act like super privileged. I don't want to act that privileged. Like, I know that I was raised in a fortunate scenario.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the school that you attended? I'm very curious.
Yeah, it's called Alpha. So I was part of the first ever graduating class. And the reason why Joe put a lot of money, a lot of help into me, a lot of money into the school, that is, is because he wanted his first graduating class to be like as advertisable as possible. There were only 10 kids in this first class, and I was one of them. And he's like, I need to make sure that y'all are as successful as possible, so I can advertise you and claim that I have the best school in America. I was like, all right, I guess I'll try to be one of these advertisable students. Yeah, so the school, like, the methodology, you might find this super interesting. We don't have classrooms, we don't have teachers, we literally learn everything on, like, YouTube and Khan Academy, and the idea is that if you learn really efficiently online, you can get what would normally be, like, a 400-hour pre-calculus course done in only 50 hours.
Okay.
And still get better grades than everyone else in the U.S. Like, I mean, we were all getting, like, 4s and 5s on our APs. I think I did all of AP statistics in, like, less than 40 hours, as crazy as that sounds. I just learned so efficiently. It's crazy what, like, efficient learning does. So that was the fundamental of the school, and that's why I joined in 9th grade. And then, like, in my junior year, it changed where they started pressing all the high schoolers to think really big and pursue entrepreneurial projects. So the other half of it is, like, you do your learning in the morning from, like, 9 to 12, and then from 12 to 4, you work super hard on, like, your passion project. It doesn't have to be entrepreneurial, but mine was.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So what was the reason why you switched to Alpha, from your school before? Like, what was
I went to, like, standard public school before, but I just switched because I hated how inefficient school was. Mm-hmm. It wasn't for the entrepreneurship, because that wasn't really even a thing when I joined.
I definitely want to learn more about Alpha. I think that's super cool.
Yeah. It is cool.
Yeah, like, moving on a bit to, like, the venture itself, Station Mountain.
Yeah.
So once you had a clear idea that, you wanted to build this park, right? You raised this money. What were the first steps after that you took to get things off the ground?
So, sorry, are you asking about the actual raise or the build?
Both. Like, which
okay.
Is, yeah.
Yeah, I'll explain both. Yeah, so I started working on the raise in January. Okay, so far I've kind of told, like, a more simplified story. So this is, like, actually what happened.
Yeah.
At first I was actually I was actually trying to raise only $350K, like, not $3 million. Mm-hmm. And then I got, like, a bunch of potentially interested investors, but they're like, hey, we will not invest unless you get land. You gotta get a land investor, you gotta get property. And around February, I mean, at first I literally got, like, no responses from everyone that I cold called, but in February I started getting traction, or, like, late February, March, I started getting traction, and then, like, by late March, I was maybe, like, 3 months into this, I finally had a bunch of people saying, like, hey, look, we'll put money into this, but only if you get land. And I was like, all right. So I started looking for land. This was, like, kind of my low point. I found, like, kind of illegally, found the contacts of every single property in Texas with more than 300 feet of vert within 2 hours of Austin, which is, like, the requirements needed for a bike park. I found the personal phone numbers and personal emails of, like, everyone that owned these properties. I literally wrote handwritten long envelopes to every single one of them, called them, emailed them, everything. And every single one of them, I'm not kidding, said no. I didn't get a single yes. Okay. For all of those properties. And I was like, oh my God, none of these properties will let me lease them out to use a bike park, which in hindsight makes complete sense. But at the time, I was like, I don't know if I can get land. And I noticed that I had all these potentially interested investors, but I couldn't get land, and, like, I was like, all right, maybe I can't make this bike park, maybe it's not possible. Mm-hmm. So then, starting in April, I was like, what if I actually take the even crazier route of raising, like, an extra $3 million through a land investment and securing, like, an equity-backed lease on a property to make this bike park instead.
Okay.
And then, again, this is back to the help that I got from Joe. Joe never gave me money, but he gave me a connection to a real estate investment group that he thought might be interested. And I kind of sold the real estate investment group on the fact that I was like a young, ambitious founder. And so that's like, I guess my pitch to these guys, like, hey, like I'm young, ambitious, and I'm cool. You definitely want to invest in me. And the second part of my pitch was like, this is a super safe investment. You're literally buying land in cash, assuming it all goes wrong. I'm sure we can sell this land for at least a 10% profit. You're not going to lose money. And then after a series of negotiations, and again, like I got this connection from Joe. I don't want to act like super self-made. They're like, all right, yeah, let's make this happen. So I went back to all my previously kind of interested investors, messaged a bunch of more people, and I was able to close the entire $350K in June. And then starting in like the first week of July, I like fully closed the $3.15 million, bought the land, and I got to work building the property on like September 1st because there was like a 2-month phase in the middle. We actually kind of illegally built on the property a little bit in that 2-month phase before it was fully closed. But the building was so bad. Oh man, yeah. So the first month the build was like not good. I mean, I did a comically bad job managing these 30-year-olds, like how to build the bike park. I was like this 18-year-old that didn't really know enough about trail building or enough about employee management, trying to run this whole show. I mean, they knew how to build trails way better than I did. I didn't really give enough, like, I didn't put my foot down enough. It was bad. And like, I like all the builders a lot, but the park that I was trying to build was not being built. And I look back at those moments and I'm like embarrassed with how bad of a manager I was. So anyway, in October, I started to get things together. We got new builders in. I got a guy that helped me manage these builders. It started to come together. I was still living on the property like 6 days a week. Just building trails on this ranch all day. And then about 3 weeks before our opening on November 3rd, we like really got our act together, finished the whole park, and like successfully opened on November 3rd. There's kind of a whole... So what's crazy is that it was literally only about 11 months from me having absolutely zero idea that I would even have the capability of building a $3 million, or of like building a whole bike park, making this whole raise happen. Right. In December of 2022, I had zero idea that I was even capable of this. And then less than a year later, like I opened this whole bike park. It's crazy like how fast the switch happened. I just realized like that I could do way bigger things. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. So, I know you kind of touched on this already, but when you were securing funding, how did you convince investors to back your vision? Did you use being young to your advantage, and how did you do that?
Yeah, I just always said that I was 17. And I always said that I was ambitious. I mean, some people lost me on the fact that I was a kid, but most investors really just invested in me because they thought that I was like a cool, ambitious kid, not really a...
Really?
They invested more in that than like the business idea.
Yeah. So it's more on the fact that you were young and that you had your advantage.
No, I use it to my advantage.
Great. Yeah, it's actually really interesting to hear. So, moving on from there, once you opened the actual park, how did you attract your first riders and build a community around the park?
Yeah, I basically used my Instagram to make a bunch of posts. I messaged a bunch of people to like repost, hey, we're opening on November 3rd. I reached out to a bunch of magazine articles, but mainly the Texas mountain bike community is like so tightly knit. I mean, there's no way that anyone that is an avid Texas mountain bike rider doesn't know that the second biggest bike park in Texas is opening on November 3rd. I mean, like, it was so easy to advertise because it's such a tight-knit community. It's like, imagine that you live in Utah and you ski and a new ski resort's opening. How are you not going to know that?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same vision. So it was really, really, really easy to advertise. Like, I think, like, basically every single mountain biker knew about the park and I didn't have to try. It's like obvious. Like, oh, there's a new bike park. Yeah.
So it was because your niche was relatively like small and tight knit.
Yeah, exactly.
Make yourself really well known. Oh,
yeah. And I hate audience building. I hate grinding for followers. Like, I hate social media so much. I need to grow my page, but like, I never do it because I hate it. Yeah.
So, I know you mentioned you were part of Alpha School. Were there any other resources or communities that you engaged with? And if so, how did you find them?
Not really. I kind of just made my own path. I got so much help through Alpha. But outside of Alpha, there wasn't much. I would like cold message people here and there and have one-on-one conversations, but there wasn't like a big group.
Yeah. I think people underestimate cold emailing and cold messaging. It really works.
It really does. It really does. It's so true.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I have a follow-up question to that. As you're building a physical location, you face relatively unique challenges, to other startups that are doing things that are mainly software, right? So what were the biggest challenges that you faced in physically building out the trails and the infrastructure?
Like I already said, management was really hard. I sucked at like telling people what to do.
Yeah.
I sucked at kind of making the whole overall trail plan. I like really wish that I was a better CEO, I guess. Yeah.
Then how did you learn to become better?
If you could transfer me back into January of 2023 right now, I could get this whole park built for half the money and half the time and make it profitable. Oh my God, I could have made this such a good thing if you placed me back with my current knowledge back then. Unfortunately, it's been really hard to like find a place to reapply that knowledge. I kind of already went down the whole world's best bike park path and it didn't work out. So, there isn't much. I kind of like learned things too late throughout the whole process. Yeah.
What do you think is the gap in knowledge between you now and you like 11 months ago?
Gap in knowledge. I just like know how to manage people way better now. If you're gonna ask about the niches, I know how to design a bike park way better now. I know how to, I just know everything about that business. Like, could do so much more efficiently. Because I was really kind of pursuing this as a first-time business. Granted, I think a lot of the skills have been transferable. Now that I'm pursuing Case and Starkey, I'm like way more confident about making all these business decisions because I learned the hard way about a lot of things.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
All right. I guess moving on to some challenges and breakthroughs. So, Was there ever a point where it started to feel like real? At what point did you realize Station Mountain was like legit and that you had kind of made it in a way?
Oh, that's a good question. One day, not really one day, but like in July, early July, I saw that there was like $350K in my bank account, and I saw that the Texas Bike Park Partners LLC bought the land in Marble Falls, and I visited the property, and I was like, oh my God, this is my property. I was like driving through this ranch. I was like, there's no way I have this 130 acres. And like in my business bank account, I was like, there's $350K in here. That's crazy. I guess that was like the day when I actually like saw the money and saw the land. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure. Since you run such a hands-on business, I know you I know you went to like a special school, but still, how did you balance, work, school, your personal time, and everything else that you were doing at the time?
I speed run school. Yeah. I get it done as fast as I can, and I forget about it. You can ask anyone in my life about this. I really love time management. It's been a thing that I've been trying to perfect for the past, 5+ years. I really, really am a fan of work-life balance. Yeah. I think it is a complete myth that you cannot have both a fun life and get really hard work done. I try to eliminate as much waste time as I can. I mean, like, even morning routines. I get my morning routines done in 7 minutes. I hate scrolling. I hate driving. I hate eating. Like, eating takes so much time out of your day. And I love, like, kind of planning the hours of my day. I have to show you my calendar, by the way. And, like, I find a way to get so much fun stuff and, like, 70 plus hours of work done per week. Like, I find a way to make it work. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my next question is, what do you think has been the biggest factor in your success? I know it's a bit broad, but just like generally speaking.
That's a good question. Let me think. Outside of just very fortunate circumstances I've been born into, with just by chance choosing to go to Alpha, being born in the U.S., having supportive parents, right? Like I've had a lot of help in my life circumstances, but outside of that, I think I have like really strong work ethic towards the right ideas. A lot of people have big ambitions, great ideas, but not the work ethic. And a lot of people have really hard work ethic, but for some reason they just like grind college, or I don't know, grind like some sort of other thing that I don't think is that important. I have both the work ethic to like truly just sit down and grind, and the love of like building entrepreneurial ideas and hopefully one day becoming a billionaire.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I noticed you have received some like media recognition and stuff from the press before. Has that helped you in any way? And how did you receive that type of recognition?
Honestly, it hasn't really helped me.
Yeah.
I think the connections to like business / entrepreneurship circles or connections to other influential people, those have been helpful. But like random, just like local magazine articles, I mean, they're really cool, but they haven't really helped me that much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking ahead, where do you see yourself heading in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years, I want to make $1 million in profit from either Cased and or Sturkey by October. I think it's doable. For Cased, I have to sell 2,000 units because I'm selling them for $500 a piece. Surely I can do that, right? And then for Sturkey, I would have to secure like 200 ski shops. I mean, surely I can do that, right? So I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to get there. After I make $1 million and kind of hit the plateau mark, I'm going to try to kind of sell it, or not the plateau, but I mean, plateau is the wrong word, but you get the point. Like, I'm going to try to sell it, make a bag, hopefully more than $1 million, and like fully move on to what will now be the $1 billion business idea. I really think that either one of the two will go well. I'm confident about the ideas. I want my money. I want profit. I want to just put a successful business behind me on my resume and move on.
Yeah.
Starting late this year, hopefully in less than 9 months, I want to move on to whatever the $1 billion business idea will be. And I plan on working on that for at least 5 years. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but if I had to guess, it's going to be a scalable network of overly vegetated, asymmetric, prefabricated condo complexes.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So it's like you basically prefabricate like 200 square foot units, and you just like asymmetrically throw them on a lot of land in a city center in a city in the US. Like asymmetrically, like all these like units are like not stacked in an orderly way, and you like load it with vegetation. I think it would sell for a lot of money. That's the basic idea.
That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Are you currently pursuing college, and do you foresee like higher education being important for you?
I am at college. I'm at UATX. It's like a brand new college if you've heard of it.
Yeah, the University of Austin.
Have you heard of it? Oh, it's a really interesting school. Yeah. Interesting.
Can you tell me a little bit about the school?
Yeah. Well, I really don't like how political the school is. They're very political. I think they should be apolitical. But they have great connections. I mean, I'm getting so many fire connections from UATX that I would never have gotten before. And I'd say that's why I'm here. I wasn't planning on going to college, but like all my mentors really wanted me to go. My parents really wanted me to go. And the school's easy. I do like 12 hours of schoolwork a week. I just get it done out the door quick. I skip a lot of classes. So it's like, oh, it's totally worth it to be here, right? I mean, I'm not going to be here for 4 years or anything, but in the meantime, it makes sense.
For the viewers, can you just introduce what UATX is like and why you went there?
Yeah. I mean, there's crazy opportunities at the school. I don't know if I should be dropping this, but like, we have a 100 an hour internship. Not kidding. To just work on whatever you want. You get paid 100 an hour to just work on your business. It's crazy. You meet billionaires. I mean, UATX has such a potential to be like literally to have like a better graduating class than Stanford. I really believe in it. But there's this huge like half and half rift in the school right now where half of the faculty like wants to make it a base school and the other half is like, let's get every single super right-wing influencer make this like Trump University 2.0. Like, I'm not gonna talk about like my political views or anything, but I just think it's bad for a school to be like obviously politically lopsided one way or the other. I mean, UATX was founded because they hated like how obviously left-leaning a lot of the colleges were, and now they're just becoming a parody of themselves. So they're doing the same problem, the other way around. It's a very, very conservative school. Like every single donor is conservative. Every single staff is. Almost all the students are. So I think it'd be based if they got rid of that. But like startup wise, if you just want to go for like business reasons, you should definitely go. Yeah. But like that being said, I think there comes a point where I can no longer justify the 20 plus hours a week I put towards school because of how big my businesses will get. Once that point comes, which will probably be this summer, I'm probably going to drop out. I think there comes a point where it's just really hard to justify. Like, I mean, 20 hours a week towards business can build millions of dollars. It comes to a point where you can't really justify that anymore. Yeah, and also, if I sounded like I'm shitting on UATX a bit too much, like, I'm still extremely fortunate for this opportunity, and I love, like, a lot of the people that are trying to make the school a big thing, and I love the opportunities here. So, like, I don't want to, like, shit on it that much.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for me specifically, with my, like, entrepreneurial circumstances, it might not make much sense down the line, but that's also because I wasn't even planning to go to college in the first place.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, have you set any personal goals for yourself beyond just the business?
No. I mean, I want to be a billionaire one day.
Yeah.
Hopefully
just follow the business.
Before 30 is the goal. So
before
we'll see.
30. Like
yeah.
11 years.
10, 11 years, yeah. I think it's doable.
Yeah. I think if anyone can do it, you can.
All right. Yeah, I'd say that's my goal. But also, I mean, as I said, the big goal, the end goal is I really, really, really am so motivated to make that charity. I really want to be the world's first extremely frugal billionaire. I hate money. I hate greed. I cringe when people have fancy cars and mansions. I think it's so unjustified how anyone is spending more than like $10,000 on a vacation. I mean, it costs $5,500 to save a life. A lot of people don't know that. So cheap. Imagine the things we spend $5,500 on. Stupid things. I really want to like kind of build a personal brand around being the world's first extremely frugal billionaire. Like I want to live in a shitty apartment, but I want to have a lot of money. And I just want to donate everything I make to a charity. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. That's kind of really, really where I see my vision and my goal. I genuinely think that if I build a super cost-effective, super root problem-solving charity, the impact will be unmatched. So, yeah. Like, I think it's embarrassing that hunger is a 21st century issue. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Now, we're nearing the end of the interview, so let's go into advice in closing.
Cool.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to a teenager who wants to start a business tomorrow?
as cliche as this sounds, you can do it. Literally anyone, if they want to, can raise $1 million. It's not that hard. Like, literally just make a pitch deck, make a financial projection sheet, and cold call like 200 VCs. You will raise $1 million if you want to. It's not that hard. Anyone can. That's one thing I really wish I realized. Like, it's not some crazy prodigy thing. You can easily do it.
Do you have any suggestions for how someone can convince or, back up their ideas?
I'm not kidding. Like, it's this simple. Make a very fancy looking, graphically well-designed pitch deck. Make a super fancy looking financial projection sheet. Sell your pitch well through email. Cold call, like, I'm not kidding, cold call hundreds of people. Anyone, if they have an idea that is, like, remotely good enough, can raise $1 million. Yeah. I mean, like, you literally just have to put your mind to it. Like, so many people don't realize this, that it's that easy. And this isn't like you have a 50-50 shot of it being super easy. You have a 50-50 shot of being able to pull it off. Like, I guarantee you will pull it off. And most people don't realize that.
Beyond just raising money, what would you suggest someone to actually execute on their idea and build something that, can actually recuperate that money or extend or make profit beyond that funding?
I don't know if I'm the best person to ask for that. I think I'm too young in my journey and too I've got to make a profitable business. I want to. So yeah. Okay. I don't know. Like, go listen to some billionaires talk about how to do that instead.
Okay. Okay. My next question is, what resources like books, podcasts, communities, or anything else that have helped you and you would recommend to aspiring young founders?
Good question. I don't know, because the thing is, like, I haven't really gotten involved in that many communities outside my school. I haven't really read all that many books. I mean, I've read the basics ones, like 0 to 1 and the Hormozy books. I mean, like, they're pretty good. But I mean, there's nothing, like, absurd that I would recommend. However, to kind of spin your question, cold call a bunch of people. It works. Like, if anyone wants to message me, please message me. If you want to go message someone else that catches your eye, message them. They'll probably respond.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah.
Just go out there and do it.
Yeah, seriously.
Are there any, besides cold calling, like any specific skills you would recommend someone learn? Like, it can be soft or hard, but things that you would recommend while someone is young to develop and nurture.
I have a weird answer.
Okay, let's hear it.
Outsourcing labor.
Okay.
Like, this is so weird. Like, you can get really banger talent from, like, Bangladesh for, like, $5 an hour. I know it's a weird answer. But, like, if you want to build, like, a super successful software business, if you, like, or if you even want to build an apparel business like me, like, for my ski glove company, like, I'm hiring people for, like, $5 an hour to just send mass emails and, like, design all these, like, flyers and whatnot. And it's so good. And it, like, has saved me so many hours of time where I can put, like, real hours into actually progressing the business than just, like, doing all these menial tasks. And I think, like, a crazy untapped resource that people just don't do is, like, using outsourced labor. I mean, like, most founders, like, do all the grind stuff themselves, and they don't really realize that they can kind of put all those tasks to other people for quite cheap. Yeah. I know that was a weird answer, but it came to mind. So.
That's a really, really
yeah.
I think practical answer, right?
Yeah. And also, before anyone thinks that is unethical, I'm quite the ethical person with my charity ambitions. That's like $3. That's like 3 times more what they normally make in those countries. So it's like really good money for them. Yeah.
All right. My next question is, if you could tell your 14-year-old self anything, what would you say about starting a business? I know you said you wished you started back in middle school. So if you could go back and tell your middle school self, what would you tell them?
I would really go... Man, how do I word this? I mean, first, I would tell myself to start a business. Start now. put a bunch of hours a week towards building something. Start right now. You are so young. Imagine how successful you'll be when you're 20 if you start right now. All the uber successful people I've seen start so early. So you gotta use those years. It's one of my biggest regrets, even though I still started very young. I wish I started when I was in like middle school. I also definitely would have told myself a lot better guidance on what business ideas to choose. It's really hard to choose a good business idea. Maybe this is a good advice thing for other people. Like really, really, really ask around and really ponder if your business idea genuinely has like a chance at profitability. Not just a chance at raising a lot of money, not just a chance at being something cool, but like will you actually profit from it? I feel like it's a good question.
Yeah. I think validation is one of the most important things, right? Figuring out if your customers actually want your product or if it just...
Yeah, before you raise money. Yeah, like go see. Like, you'll buy this now.
Yeah, great advice. And so finally, do you have any like last thoughts or words of encouragement for young founders?
I kind of already said my last thoughts and words of encouragement. It's just like, actually go build something, actually go start. You can do it. As cliche and like cringe as it sounds, I really, really wish that I realized when I was younger that anyone can build a business, especially if you live in the US and have supportive parents. Yeah. And you are so fortunate if you live in the US, have supportive parents, and like have free time on your hands. And if you're like naturally gifted, it is so easy to start a business. Like just start. Just start. A lot of people don't realize that you can do it.
Great. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rhett.
I know. Thank you so much too.